What's up guys, OraMagi here. In today's video, I'm going to be analysing why the phone scenes in My Hero Academia are some of the most important in the entire series. I believe that they accurately portray the modern youth constantly glued to their phones and whatnot, and that lends a sense of realism to the show, which in turn also allows the viewers to become connected to the characters on an even deeper... Okay, I can't keep going. I'm joking. But for real though, in this video, I'm going to be offering a critical analysis of something slightly less interesting, but important nevertheless, the theme of a starting line. I'll be going over the starting lines for 3 of the series' most important characters, Izuku Midoriya, Shoto Todoroki, and Katsuki Bakugo, discussing why they're such effective storytelling vehicles, as well as what they do for their characters in terms of development. In real life, whenever you're starting anew, you'd use phrases such as, I'm turning over a new leaf, or this is my fresh start. You wouldn't say something like, oh, I've just arrived at my starting line, or I've just crossed my starting line, or something like that. Unless you're running a marathon, of course, and I guess it's probably the most relevant thing you could say, since running a starting line is a very integral part of crossing marathons. Anyway, in the world of My Hero Academia, for the driven students of UA High School, identifying a personal starting line seems to almost be a trend of some kind, honestly. And that is no more true than for the members of Class 1A, where almost everybody seems to be in a race to become Hokage. I mean, the #1 hero. So what do I mean by a starting line? My Hero Academia isn't a sports anime. There's no literal piece of white tape, no literal starting line that a character can choose to arrive at when they're ready to become developed as a character. Exclusive to MHA, a starting line is a point in a character's development where something happens, something so drastic occurs to shake them to their very core, and it ends up causing them to have a different outlook on life. I understand that might sound a bit wishy-washy, a bit ambiguous, so let me clear things up by using Todoroki as an example. It's no secret that pre-Starline Todoroki was revenge obsessed. He came across as aloof, cold. If you motherfuckers call me out using a fucking pun, I swear to God, I'll find where you fucking live and string you up by your fucking nipples. Bish! No, where was I? Aloof, cold. Oh yeah, and honestly, pretty lonely. Even though post-Starline hasn't suddenly become warm, cuddly, and everybody's best friend, there are changes to his personality which can only be attributed to character development due to the events of his starting line. Let me go into some more detail for you. For starters, he becomes slightly more amicable, he becomes slightly more easier to approach. Unlike at the beginning of the UA Sports Festival when he approaches Deku and he's like, oh, I'm declaring war on you, he's kind of not like that anymore. And like the big thing is that during Deku and Ida's fight with Stain, he of all people is the one to respond to Deku's distress call, Flames Ablaze. Even as Ida is on the floor, eyes burning with fury because of what the hero killer did to his brother, Todoroki of all people is the one who is able to offer him meaningful advice and, you know, save him. And honestly, if Deku didn't get through to Todoroki during their fight in the Sports Festival, I don't think any of that would have happened, and I'd hate to think what would have happened if Todoroki didn't come to their rescue. And that's what I mean by starting line. There was a clear point between the Todoroki then and the Todoroki now, where something very clearly happened to cause him to undergo such heavy character development. All the characters I listed, and more, have these moments, and that's what I'll be discussing in this video. So now, finally, with all the housekeeping out of the way, let's get on to the good stuff. There's no better place to start than with the protagonist of the story, the bestest boy, and my son, Izuku Midoriya. Izuku, or Deku as we all know him as, begins the story as a quirkless nobody, which is pretty unlucky for someone who's assigned themselves the lofty goal of becoming the #1 hero. Now, as I explained in the introduction, I cannot judge the effectiveness of a starting line without looking at the kind of character they were before that point, and the kind of character they are after that point. In comparison to Todoroki and Bakugo, who both have their starting lines occur relatively late, it's not long after we're introduced to Deku that he has that magical moment. I've even got some important statistics to back this up. Now, let me introduce you to the Development Margin Index, or DMI for short, patent pending. A statistic I've devised to judge how effectively a character has been developed over a certain period of time. It's gonna take a bit of explaining, but by the end of it, you will recognize my genius. The 3 characters in question have their starting lines occur at very different times. Deku has his occur very early on in episode 4, Bakugo has his later in episode 8, and Todoroki has his way later all the way in episode 23. Now, keep these numbers in mind because we're about to get down to calculating the DMI. Firstly, we take the difference in episodes between that character's introduction and their development point, in this case, the starting lines. Since this is Deku's section, we'll be using Deku as the main example. Deku is introduced in episode 1, and his starting line occurs in episode 4. And there's a difference of 3 episodes. Keep that number in mind. So now this is where things can kind of get tricky, so I don't blame you if you start to get things wrong. Of course I won't, I'm the genius who came up with the DMI. Anyway, now, we take that initial number, that 3, that difference between his introduction and the development point, and we divide that by the number of letters in his name. This is how we personalize that number. You could just take 3, and you could have grabbed that 3 from anywhere. How do we know that 3 is the 3 which belongs to Deku? Because we divide it by his name. That's how we assign what I'm calling the identity factor. Don't question it, accept it. So now you've got that 3, and what did we divide it by? Oh, 4, I hear someone say? Wrong! You're fucking wrong! You're not a fan of the series! You're wrong! Only real fans of the series would know that there are 5 letters in his name. Remember, his name is Izuku, I-Z-U-K-U, not Deku. Amateurs. Anyway, we took that 3, and we divide it by 5, because that's the number of letters in his name. Now keep that number in your head. I hope you didn't think that was it, because we're doing a lot more with that number. Take that 3 divided by 5, take that identity factor, and multiply it by the number of episodes post start line. You can't skip this step. It is important, it is crucial, it is integral to the integrity of the DMI formula. It's how we take into account the amount of time they have spent as a developed character. Now, at the time of this recording, there have been 32 episodes since Deku's start line. So now with that final value in hand, we can calculate his development margin index. So we take the 3 divided by 5, that gives us an identity factor of 0.6. We multiply that 0.6 by 32, and that gives us Deku's DMI, which is 18.6. It's wonderful how math always works out in the end, right? And that's a pretty solid number. It's a pretty solid value. It's pretty admirable for someone who's the main character, right? Wrong! You're fucking wrong! Again? How many times can you guys be wrong? 18.6 is a pitiful DMI. It's don't even get me started on just how low on the fucking scale that is. For example, I pre-calculated Bakugo's DMI before getting onto this. Do you know what Bakugo's DMI is? It's 28. 28 is Katsuki Bakugo's DMI. He should be the main character of this damn show. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and just crown Bakugo the rightful main character of My Hero Academia. Or I would, but I said I'd calculate Todoroki, and you know what? I didn't actually do it because he had his start line so late. He's not gonna be an important. I'm just gonna calculate this one right on camera for you. It shouldn't take too long anyway. Not with my genius. Right. Anyway. Okay. So we take his development point. Take that divided by 1.7. Wait a minute. That can't be right. No, wait, the identity factor. Factor out the outlining recap episode. Factor in the correct number of letters. Account for Japanese abbreviations. Oh. Oh my god, it can't be. Todoroki's DMI. Todoroki's DMI is 46.8! My scale! I'm done. The scale is broken. DMI is no longer valid. If you couldn't tell with just how over the top and ridiculous I was getting, I was joking. I was just having a little fun with statistics and whatnot. Anyway, it's probably about time that we move on to some actual analysis. Post-Startline Deku is like pre-Startline Deku, Aside from the simple fact that he's gone through some next level hyper-accelerated puberty, now that's not to say anything bad or to discredit the pacing of the show, which on the contrary is actually really good, but it's to say that the amount of time in which Deku has gone from quirkless nobody to honestly admirable as fuck hero in training, it's honestly quite staggering. When I put it into perspective here, I think you'll agree with me when I say that he has matured at just such a staggering rate. Pre-start line Deku is nothing. We see him getting pushed around by people who have quirks, and he's just all over the place really. He's a mess. But it's important to note that he gets pushed down, but he never gets pushed out. He always gets back up and fights for what he believes is right. A very key trait in someone who wants to be the #1 hero one day. We get to see this almost immediately within the first minutes of the show when Deku is defending this poor, assumedly quirkless kid from Bakugo and his goons in the park. He uses his inherent heroic traits as well as his passion to become like All Might as fuel for his goal, but post-Starline Deku takes it to an absolutely different level. Take Deku and Bakugo's fight in All Might's battle training class, and keep this scene in mind because I will be referring to it again later on. Not only does Deku not let Bakugo demotivate him, he also puts up a fight, and a pretty good one at that. This is the first example where we see the fruits of Deku's training. Everything he taught himself in terms of analytical skills, as well as everything All Might taught him in terms of battle skills. Even though in the end he does complete the assignment, he does it in such a reckless manner that it proves that he still has so much further to go as the fledgling symbol of peace. His heroic traits, which caused All Might to choose him as his successor, have been there since day one. From when he leapt out to save Bakugo from the Sludge villain, all the way to when he leapt out again to save Tsuyu from Normal and Shigaraki during the attack on USJ. No matter what happens, he's still the same All Might loving, headstrong, absolute madman that we all know and love, who still can't talk to girls. Kami-sama bless his 2D soul. Real talk though, what I think really drives Deku's progression as a character is his sense of duty. Imagine if he'd received his quirk from just some random hero. I think because of his inherent heroic traits, he'd still have a desire to become the #1 hero, but I don't think it would be nearly as intense. We get a real sense of just how heavy the load he bears is in the first episode of the second season. All Might tells him that during the UA Sports Festival, he needs to show the world the next symbol of peace is here. Animation-wise, all of the bold lines going down across screen really just do a good job of emphasizing the gravitas of the situation. And it really does drive him, his sense of duty. Sometimes it drives him just a little too far. For one, take his first meeting with Gran Torino. He almost skips out on the poor old man because he thinks he's just some senile old geezer who doesn't even know who he is, let alone All Might or One for All. As negative of a point that is, at least it shows that Deku is aware of the ticking clock on both his and All Might's heads. Continuing on that theme, self-awareness is the hallmark of a good character, and it is one area where Deku is not lacking in at all. After Deku saves Uraraka from the foe villain, during that fall whilst he's reeling from One for All's recoil, Deku painfully reminds himself about how he's only been given the right to stand at the starting line. Notice that he doesn't say, oh, he's made it. Deku is aware more than anyone else that the only reason he is falling in the first place, the only reason that he's in the exam in the first place is because of other people, and that's what he thinks. Although us, as the omnipotent viewers and readers that we are, know that that's not the case. For example, no one told him to go and put himself in harm's way and save Bakugo from the Sludge villain. He did all of that himself because of the inherent heroic qualities that I keep mentioning. His determination to become like All Might, coupled with his realization that he has got so much further to go than other people because of the nature of his quirk and because of the loftiness of his goal, act as his starting line, and it serves to propel his development as a character far into the future. As I mentioned earlier, Deku's self-realization of his starting line is a massive benefit to his growth. He never forgets where he's come from or how he got there, and he uses those as constant reminders of how far he has to go, even during his successes. This only lends itself positively to his character development, and we see this very early on in the post-start line phase. Back to the battle training scene, Deku exclaims that the reason he wants to beat Bakugo so much is because he admires him so much. He views him as this obstacle which he needs to personally overcome in order to grow as a person and as a hero. Even All Might, who is listening on, remarks that these are the first passionate emotions he's had aside from I want to be a hero, and this realization is key for someone whose goals are so incredibly lofty. During the UA Sports Festival, another example of this kind of growth can be seen. After finishing first in the obstacle course, Deku can be seen muttering to himself that it was just a lucky punch. His refusal to believe that he came first and bested such overwhelming odds bested both Todoroki and Bakugo, as well as all kinds of other stiff competition because of his own skill, keeps him humble, but it also keeps him shackled, even though we as viewers know that it was due to his analytical skill more than anything else. Deku uses more of his inherent strengths, such as his incredibly likable personality, combined with his starting line, to find success in other areas. Take Deku v Shinso for example. Once Deku breaks free of Shinso's brainwashing, he begins his counterattack to try and get Shinso out of the arena. Here, we play audience to what I think is one of the most important thought exchanges in the entire series, only really superseded by a certain matchup which occurs later on. You probably know what I'm talking about. Shinso and Deku started off in similar positions, so as Shinso starts to get desperate, it is clearly reinforced in Deku's mind where he started from, why he needs to become number one, and most importantly of all, why he cannot afford to lose. After the fight is concluded, Shinso begins to receive applause from pro heroes and his fellow classmates alike about how useful his work is and what a great representation of the students in general studies he is. I'm sure if Shinso was a main character, this would be his starting line. The fact that Deku receives his work from the symbol of peace motivates him to become the best like no other. The fact that he was a quirkless nobody means he just has that much more work to do. The fact that he just wants to become a cool hero like All Might keeps him as a solid character throughout the series, no matter what happens on his journey from quirkless to the #1 hero. Hey guys, if you made it this far into the video, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, you're probably thinking, where's the next part? Where's the next character? Todoroki's bit should be here. Where's Bakugo's bit? And you're right. If it wasn't for the fact that whilst I was editing this video, the total video length was about to exceed 30 minutes. Now, I'm nowhere near popular enough. I don't have a decent enough following where I can put out a super long video like that and still get a decent amount of views. Yet. But, with the help of Twitter, at OraMagi, what are you doing if you're not following me? I came to the decision that this kind of video can easily be split into 3 parts, 1 part per character. So you've just seen Izuku Midoriya's part, and the next part, which will be about Shoto Todoroki, should be out in the next couple of days. Anyway, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.